What's up, everybody? This is Review Box, and this is going to be a good one. I'm Nick. This is my fellow host.
Hi, everyone. Is Randy.
And his name is Randy. And today, I want to announce it. We are doing 28 years later. Shout out to Randy because, one, I've always heard of 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks. I haven't watched them until Randy talked about how he really loved them, how he really loves 28 Days Later.
It's one of my favorite
So
franchises.
we went ahead and actually, I saw that in theaters because they played it, which is awesome.
Yeah,
And
re-release.
then I watched 28 Weeks Later, and I was very disappointed.
Yeah, because it sucks.
And then we watched 28 Years Later just recently, and it was so good. I know it's been getting mixed reviews. I know the crowds are half and half, but I'm going to stand on business that it was absolutely a great movie, and we're going to tell you why. Let's get right into it.
Exactly. First of all, let's start off with this. Danny Boyle,
Mm-hmm.
Alex Garland.
Reunited.
Two
Reunited.
crazy guys that came up with an idea.
Two silly guys.
What if zombies were fast? that's literally what their movie premise was. They're like, what if because people are all like, weren't there fast zombies before? Nope. Slow zombies, the undead.
It's like a dartboard. They were like, boom, zombies. Okay. Boom, track
Fast.
runner zombies.
They're like, let's make them fast. And they're like, what is it? Is it like a cancer curing virus? Like, it's rage. We're going to make monkeys watch the news and get angry.
It's all because of activists.
Yeah, the activists ruined the world.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bill Clinton. No, just kidding.
So,
Wait, when is the first movie takes place?
2002.
Oh, my bad.
Bush.
Thanks a lot, Bush. Even though it's in the UK. But we're not talking about this.
Thanks a lot, Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, right? So 28 years later, obviously by the title, takes place 28 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love that the director and the writer, they really said, hey, it's a disease. If the disease doesn't evolve, it's going to die off.
Exactly.
Just like anything else in the world. So this is their world. This is their playground. They can do whatever they want. Because in 28 Days Later, that doesn't really set any rules besides
Exactly.
like you get infected within 10 seconds, which is insane, by the way.
So the rule is their rules for the zombie is that it's an infection, which means their body isn't decaying, which means it allows them to use their full strength. They're not stronger, and they're not faster. They're just pushing a human's capability.
Yeah, to the
because they
limit.
don't feel the pain. Number two, they have sensory. They follow sound. They're not wanderers like other ones. They follow sound. That's their main thing. Number three, they gotta be fast. I mean, they gotta be like insane because it's rage. The virus is rage. And then the 10-second rule. You get infected in 10 seconds. No less, no more. 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. And you can get infected by bites and contact with blood and saliva, I believe.
Yes.
And what's so cool about this movie is it takes place off an island off of the mainland where the virus first happened.
I'm sorry. Can I do this first?
Shoot.
Danny Boyle, Alex Garland.
It's all right. It's bedtime.
They created this movie. 28 Days Later. It's a virus. It spreads all around the UK, or not UK. The main island, which is like Scotland and UK and England, and then 28 weeks later, they start noticing because they did bring up another rule that these zombies starve. It's a virus. They're not zombies like they just eat whenever. They starve and then die. That's how the virus works. That's like any sickness. Like, as long as you're not feeding into your sickness, it'll go away. 28 weeks later brings that up. They start pushing the zombies out, like away into like they eradicate it, right? They eradicate.
It's pretty much gone in 28 weeks later.
It's gone. There's no more virus. All the zombies are gone. They're all gone. One woman who gets infected. Awesome beginning. 28 weeks later, it's an amazing, memorable beginning, and then the rest of the movie fucking sucks.
Yeah, no, I'll stand on that.
Hawkeye's also in that movie. A lot of people don't remember that. This woman who is not a patient zero, she has it. She's a carrier, infects it, and at the ending of that movie, it goes out to Europe.
It
in
just
France.
goes out to France. Now, what's very interesting about 28 years later,
Is that they pushed it back in.
they never they okay. So 28 years later, it does show footage from 28 weeks. So it kind of shows that 28 weeks is quote unquote canon if
Yeah.
you really want to get like nitpicky.
By the way, that movie wasn't by Alex Garland or Danny Boyle. They had a
Yeah.
falling out.
Yeah, so whole thing. But anyways, so it really necessarily doesn't even say if Europe gets taken over because like
No,
where
they
France,
do. They
where
do.
France is, it's like so what did they like
No, what
excludes
they
France?
literally explain it in the trailer.
in 28 years later?
Yeah, it's that it was pushed back in to it, and like everyone's cured. That's why France is one of the main reasons of the blockade around the UK.
Oh, is why they're still going around it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just dive into the movie.
So they pushed it in Scotland Scotland and UK. The UK, the entire island, the United Kingdom is infected. And because of that, the whole world has secluded it. Fuck the British. They fend for themselves now. The virus is only there. And every country has put in money to blockade from anyone going in and going out. But there is a beacon of hope, a small town with a giant bridge from the mainland. There's a small
and this is where the
island.
movie, and this is where we go into the movie.
This is 20 years later.
Yeah.
28 years later. 28 years later.
28
there's a
years
small
later.
island that works together. They make their own food, their clothing, and then they do have some people that go.
They're
out
like
to the
it's a
mainland.
community. It's a community,
yeah.
and
Communism working.
it's a community,
It's the only time you'll ever see it work.
and the virus. I mean, like,
It's adapted.
have you
It's evolved pretty much.
how do I explain this? So it's a community that's been shut off from the world for the last 28 years, and it really affects the community and the culture of the community, because that's almost 3 decades where they've been cut off, where they've like have new traditions and customs, where one of the things is like their rule is you can cross into the mainland, but if you don't come back, our rule is no matter who you are, we will not send help to go get you. Now, if you're a teenager or whatever and you go out there with your dad, is what I'm guessing, you come back, you're a quote unquote a man now, and you get a party. Like, they really made it festive. Like, they really sort of lived into that culture.
Pretty much, it's like a hunter, I guess, or like I don't know, like just a gatherer. Because of course the mainland is still out there, so there's certain stuff that they need. There's people that go out there to chop wood. There's people that go out there to get fruit and stuff like that. And they bring it in.
They get resources. They come
They get
back.
resources.
But it's like
everyone has a job.
like it's a passage where, like, if you go and you survive and you come back, like, you're a man now or whatever.
Usually it's
it may
between
be.
the age of 15 and 16 when they bring it up.
Yeah.
So our protagonist,
Spike,
he's 13. He just turned 13.
Spike boy.
And his dad, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, because that's the dad's name. Because we
Aaron
can't-
Taylor Johnson.
Here, you talk about
it's
it. I'll pull it up.
Kick ass. Also, Tangerine, Lemon. It's one of them.
And it's also the freak from Nosferatu.
There we go. He's the freak. He's Sammy's or Spike's father.
Sammy's father.
Sorry, I just.
He was thinking of Sinners.
Oh no, I'm thinking of something else. The dad's all like, I'm gonna bring him with me. We're gonna eat well, and we're gonna go cross the land bridge into the mainland. Jamie takes his son Spike, but before they go, they introduce the mother, who seems like she's really sick. She's very confused. There's a whole argument about Spike not going to schools, like you're not allowed to go on the mainland, but then immediately forgets. Like,
You almost get this feeling that she has like a dementia.
yeah, it's almost
But
like
it
dementia.
gets explained in the story. Let's just save it, but go on.
So then Jamie goes like I'm gonna take my son. We're gonna go out to the world. And then when he leaves, the mom goes like, "Where are you going?" And then Spike uses the almost like dementia and goes, "I'm going to school," so she doesn't have to worry.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, "Okay, that's fine." Then he leaves with his dad. Everyone's cheering for him.
Yeah, it's like a tradition in a sense, like a ritual.
Also, yes, the land bridge is very long. The land bridge is from the tiny island all the way to the mainland in the UK. It's very long, and there's a certain rule with the land bridge. The land bridge is when it's low tide, that's the only way you can pass it. Once it starts to become nighttime, the moon getting close to Earth, or it's nighttime, the waves start to get bigger, so it covers the land bridge and it does not allow anyone to pass through it. It's and because the current is so strong, it'll sweep you away even if you try. They do explain that in the movie.
Yeah, it plays a part. So we get introduced. You know, he's out. Father and son time. Boy.
Come
So
kill.
they're out there and they're looking at the world, and he's teaching them the way of the world. And they did in 28 years later, they did a good job of explaining like not new. Well, I guess you could say new variants,
New variants.
and a sense of like the raged people, the infected, have learned to adapt it in different ways.
Yeah.
Now, there's still the ones, we do see it later, there's still the ones that just starve out and die. And then there's super fat ones that go ahead and
They're
they
all
just
slimy
yeah,
and stuff too.
and they just because they're like in the forest areas and they eat off the floor and they're disgusting. And then there's the regular ones we know, and they introduce this new one called the Alpha. Now, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna do viewers discretion advised, because from here on out it's gonna get crazy. So the
You ever
Alpha,
seen that- you ever
the
seen
Alpha
that-
is super powerful.
You ever
and-
seen that Diary of a Wimpy Kid meme?
Which one?
Where what's his
Where he's looking at him like this?
where he looks at him and he goes, that looks down.
Yeah, and he looks down. Okay.
This meme. I have to edit that
Yeah.
in.
So they should have called this 28 years later, semicolon, 28 inches later, because by God, the Alpha freaking hangs, dude.
Dude,
It's
it's
hung.
crazy.
It's insanely hung. And don't get me wrong, when I was watching that movie, I was like, okay. I cannot be the only one that's just like, dude, the freaking hog on that guy, like, is something to be talked
It's
about.
distracting.
Because there was an angle where it's this badass like train scene, right? And it's like a low angle facing up to the cargo of the train. So it's like him just jumping down, and it's just his whole junk
Full
area,
hog.
full hog, and everything just like moving around, and then he's just chasing
Then
you.
he starts running, and then like you start seeing that thing go.
Yeah, it's like this, and dude,
It's like moving stuff out of the way for him.
it's like a baby's arm, dude.
Bigger.
But bigger. And I know it's so crazy to just go on this tangent, but then like after the movie, I go on Letterboxd, I go on TikTok,
Everyone talks about it.
and dude, there is a community of people who are just like, why is this Alpha so hung?
There's a reason.
Like you won't forget that.
If you've seen 28 Days Later, Cillian Murphy's hog is in the beginning.
Yes. You see
So they didn't
Oppenheimer.
do-
You see Oppenheimer's hog in 28 Days Later.
So the writer of the movie is Alex
You see
Garland,
this
and I
straight-
thought
this
I think he
horse.
just thought Cillian Murphy's not in this movie. We just got to add hog somewhere.
Yeah, you straight up see this freaking horse leg. Just like, dude, it looked like it could jump up and bite you. Like, I'm just saying, it's
This
insane.
is the anaconda that killed Ice Cube.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, like. So, anyways, the alphas for some reason. Okay, so first of all, the alphas are at least like above 6'5".
Yes.
There's like 6'5" and up, so
They
they're
have,
super
like,
tall.
They have their own group, like these
Social
these zombies.
hierarchy now.
There we go. Yeah, it's a social hierarchy.
Yeah, like they're becoming, which is crazy. It's so cool to see, but oh my gosh.
And there's a lot of scenes that shows like what they do, like the alpha and like its group of zombies. Danny Boyle, his weird crazy creative mind, which adding like crazy scenes that seem like they're not important but they are. It introduces the alpha and what it does. It has this tendency to rip off heads with the spine still intact. Some Mortal Kombat stuff, like some Sub-Zero thing. And it's they either use it to kill people or as like a trophy with them. They really don't specify.
Yeah, no, they like, it's to show like that this is their territory.
Yeah.
So it's like they're really animalistic, like kind of like a wolf pack in a sense. But the alpha, like, it's crazy because then now it's showing the infected, like, you know, after they survive past obviously these 28 days, you know, they eat food, like they'll even eat fish. Like it's not just rotten quote unquote food.
There's a scene where they're showering.
They're trying to bathe in the
bathing.
river, but they obviously don't know
They're
how.
dumb.
And then Danny and Alex, they have this sick twisted mind that they decide to add in the world like a pregnant one.
So, a lot of people weren't getting it. Totally understand because it's just so random. there was a pregnant female zombie. The alpha impregnates them. It's just like a rooster with his chickens. The alpha's always going to impregnate at least probably one of them. Sometimes it's all of them, but
Those are his hens.
and then and the main reasons, just like any other animalistic thought, is next of kin. That's what it is. And they make that a big portion of the movie, that it's next of kin, because the alpha is chasing.
And the alpha gets a name, by the way. His name's Samsung.
Is it? I thought it was Samson.
Oh, Samsung. Yeah, Samson.
So Samson, there's a lot of hunting humans, but that's because the humans have his baby. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, which was a crazy like fork in the road. So, anyways,
they're evolving.
So to back it up, the movie does a crazy thing where you're following Jamie and Spike, and then Spike comes home. They're celebrating him. I'm gonna kind of run through it a little bit, but Spike, they're celebrating him, and then his mom's still sick, and then he sees his dad cheating on his mom, and then he's like, "What the heck?"
That pretty much gives him like some idea of just like, oh, there's something probably really wrong with my mom, because if my dad really loved her, he'd stick by her.
Yeah.
Like, because she'll get better. But because he started cheating, it gave him it opened his eyes going like, there's probably something really going on with my mom.
Now we got to understand this. He talks to an older gentleman who's obviously been around prior. Is it?
It's his mom's dad, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay. So he talks to his grandfather. Is it?
I think so.
Okay. Well, he talks to this older gentleman that may be his grandfather.
Maybe.
That you can tell has been around prior to the virus. And, they speak of a doctor. Now, what I love about this is we got to understand Spike is 12 years old. So, he's never even seen a doctor. So when he gets the thought, oh, there's a doctor out there, then he knows like, okay, well, if there's a doctor out there, he must know how to cure my mom.
Exactly.
Like there's no way he wouldn't know how. So then we go on this journey where it's no longer like about the father and the son. It's literally about Spike. It's like it's his story. And this time now he guides his mother through the mainland, and she's having a hard time.
Before that, I'm sorry. I cut him off like I always do.
But he says he's never done. He said he never has.
The first time he goes on the mainland, they see smoke because they have to stay because the alpha's chasing them, and they have to hide. When they're hiding, Spike notices smoke and asks his dad, "What is that?" And his dad's like, "It's nothing." And that's when when they come back to the island and celebrate, the grandfather or the old man that's not related to him, who knows, explains to him
this
that's
old
a
man.
doctor. If your dad doesn't want to talk about it, I'm not going to talk about it. But that's a doctor in the smoke. And he goes, okay. Then he brings it up to his dad, and then his dad's all like, he's crazy. But it's smart because he's an actual doctor. So what I first thought is when the dad brings up the stories, he goes like, oh, the doctor's burning these bodies. What I thought was just like, oh, so the virus doesn't spread. That was my initial thought.
And, oh, wow.
Usually,
and this doctor's crazy.
Because, they don't know stuff like this.
And let's be clear. The doctor is crazy, but he's not evil. So
like,
that's the thing. He's not a villain.
The dad explains, Jamie, he goes like, he went hunting and gathering with his friends, and then they went and saw this doctor covered in all this orange stuff and burning these bodies, and then waves at them and tells them to come down. To them, that's insane. Like, if you saw that, that's insane. Especially the people who don't know what the hell he's doing. But like I said, because the way we live or the movies we've seen, usually you burn a body to stop spreading viruses. So that's what I initially thought he was doing. But he's actually doing something different that we'll get to.
Yeah.
So Spike.
So then fast forward. So
Spike's all like, gonna get mommy.
So Spike takes mom, goes to the mainland, runs into this other person, and this other person is special forces from a different country. France. And it's kind of crazy
GIGN.
Because he has a brand new iPhone, this character named Eric.
Yes.
And it's crazy because, again, it kind of solidifies, like, oh, like, don't forget, audience, like, Spike doesn't know what the hell this is. Spike is...
They don't even know what a radio is.
Yeah, like, Spike doesn't know Fortnite.
They have...
You know what I mean?
Spike has never even heard of Fortnite, which is horribly sad.
Yeah, like, think about it, guys. You guys are worried about GTA 6. Spike doesn't even know what
GTA 1 was.
Yeah, right? So anyways, besides the point. So that's it shows that. So it shows the world is still going around, which I kind of like because
Yeah.
it's so different. Because it's always like, oh, the whole world crumbles.
But it's just like, so pretty much even out, and then the French GIGN soldier even thinks like, oh, he doesn't know anything about the island either because they don't give you that much information. It's more like there's just
Yeah.
zombies there, and what they do is they come in to clear out sometimes, or like, you know.
Yeah, and then stuff happens. But so forth, so forth. So they move on, they run into the alpha, and then that's when they see the pregnant one. She gives birth. They take the baby. The alpha walks in with his pet hog, and then he kills Eric.
He kills the soldier.
And then they're chasing him, and then that's when we meet the doctor, because the doctor actually shoots Samson with morphine to stop him, to pause him.
Yeah.
And then we get to the doctor. Now, obviously, there's some parts in between, but I want to skip to like an important part, is when the doctor finally does an examination on the mom, and he puts it together.
First, the doctor's he explains why he's burning the bodies. That's a big thing that we have to.
What is he? What?
Because remember, he's making the temple, the bone tower.
Is that yeah? No,
So
no.
what the doctor does is
the poster of the movie.
So what the doctor was actually doing is he's remembering the dead. The thing is, he even brings it up that like, even with all this chaos, we have to remember the dead. So he goes like, I know it's sickly, but there has to be something to remember these people. So what he does is he cleans them, burns the body, cleans whatever's off on the bones, and then makes, I guess, a memorial of all the bodies he's ever found. And he covers himself in iodine, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Because zombies don't like iodine. I guess apparently they stay away from him, except for the alphas. The alphas still know.
Yeah, Samson doesn't care.
Yeah, Samson still attacks.
His hog talks to him like the Green Goblin mask.
The iodine.
Yeah. It's just iodine.
So, Spike and his mother meet the doctor with the baby in their hands. And also, just to clarify, the baby isn't a zombie either. The doctor also brings up it's the magic of placenta, because apparently placenta cures all, things like that. So,
yeah, he explains it.
So because
Science.
because the mother and Spike took the baby away from the zombie immediately, the baby wasn't able to get infected. So it's a normal regular baby that's uninfected.
Yeah.
Because of placenta. So then the doctor thinks that's why Spike came, because of the baby. But now Nick will bring up what the actual reason was why Spike showed up to the doctor.
Yes. Okay. So
Sorry,
obviously, no, you're good. So obviously, it becomes this journey where Spike's trying to take his mother to a doctor, because obviously in his eyes is, well, I've never met a doctor, but what I've heard is that a doctor cures all. And so he brings his mom, explains that, she loses her memory and she bleeds from her nose. And he does an exam on her, and the doctor comes to this conclusion that she has cancer, and it's spread from her breast to her brain. And so right away, Spike is like, okay, well then cure her. And Spike's like, I'll go out and get whatever material, what medicine you need. Like, he's trying so hard. And then the movie gets so real, because the doctor's like he's like, boy, like, even before the infection, like, there is not a cure. This is uncurable. And it's like, that's so real that it's like, it sucks. It's like, dang, she basically has like stage 4 cancer with no like chemo, no nothing.
So apparently she also kind of knew. She just didn't want to tell.
Yeah.
She also just didn't want to tell her son. That's how it is.
Yeah, he wouldn't understand,
real.
because you got to understand, like, if you're watching it and you're your age, you got to understand, we got to look at it through the lens of a 12-year-old.
Yeah, and not only that, it's a
understand.
12-year-old this isn't even normal. Because cancer, there's a high percentage of cancer in a lot of things. But think about it, like all these people living in a natural world, most likely they haven't even seen cancer in a while.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So it's like something he's just never. It's foreign to him.
Yeah,
he doesn't know. He doesn't understand.
He doesn't know Fortnite, guys.
But then there's this even more depressing scene where the mother's just like, I don't want to live in pain anymore. So she's hugging the son, and she kind of like nods to the doctor. The doctor shoots Spike with morphine.
Yeah, he numbs him up.
He numbs him up and lets him, like, I guess, like, just have like a spiritual awakening for himself, because his sadness was gone.
Yeah,
I guess
because
to
he was all
live
drugged
with
out. And then the doctor takes the mother and basically like puts her down, and then
And burns the body.
burns the body and gives the skull to the son, and then basically the son puts her on top of the podium.
Yeah.
And then, you know, fast forward a little bit, and it's like the movie's wrapping up pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's like that story, coming of age, you're learning a lot, you're going through this. And then now this is not out of nowhere, but it is kind of out of nowhere. Now, back up to the very beginning of the movie. In 28 days later and in 28 weeks later, they both have these crazy intros.
Yes.
Like cold opens, I would say. So we have this cold open with this kid, and do they say that his name is Jimmy?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's another scene in the movie that we just didn't bring up.
Yeah, that's in the beginning. So like I'll make it clear.
And then even
So-
when they found the body too.
So Jimmy's in the beginning. Then like, you know, he's a kid and his dad was a preacher, and then his dad dies and he's like, "You've forsaken me." And then 28 years later, and then you see like Jimmy's written on one of the infected,
He's written on the wall.
and then you see like on the walls, "Beware of Jimmy." And then you're just like,
He's
what
like, who the hell is Jimmy?
Yeah, like this story, this weird, like this Jimmy plot line is very weird. And then it's like the very end, he kills, I almost called it a walker. He kills one of the zombies. And then like, he's like, "Hey kid." And then like the camera pans and then it's Jimmy.
It's just an extreme action scene where
Yeah.
they look like Power Rangers and
Yeah, it's by far, it just like, it does put the movie, like turns the movie over on its head, I guess you would say.
But at the
Because it's
same
like
time,
out
if
of
you recognize
nowhere.
if you recognize Danny Boyle and Alex Garland's movies, even when they didn't work together, that's just what they do. They always have this weird, insane throwaway. But it's
It
not a
was
throwaway.
so
It's supposed
crazy.
to be. It's supposed to add in for another movie, which they've already confirmed. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you're like, "Oh, they're gonna leave it off a cliffhanger. Why'd you spoil it?" They've exclaimed that there's gonna be 2 more after this.
Yeah, and I'll get into that. So it really is a tone shift. I'm not going to lie. It would have been so much better if it ends with him killing that zombie and then it's a after credit scene.
Yeah.
It would have been so much. It would have taken away, because it's like you're closing so good on Spike's coming of age, and then it's just like
This
it's bananas.
This random circus act.
But before we go, I do want to explain this. The director has said this. He said, if 28 years later is successful, then we're going to make part 3. Because they filmed part 1 and part 2 back to back.
Insane. for a movie.
They just said that 28 years later, part 2 is going to come out in January. 6 months.
Cillian Murphy's also gonna have a small scene.
Yes. So Cillian Murphy is going to come back because he's an executive producer for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to come back in a small section in part 2. And they said, if part 1 is successful, then part 3 is all about Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, that's crazy that the director said that, because that's like a big spoiler
It
right
also
off the
goes to
bat.
like what more could it do?
Yeah, but I really hope like it does do successful and we're able to get that. I'm glad that no matter what, we're getting a sequel.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen already, the sequel will still be following Spike.
And Nick
Which is
knows,
great.
he's heard me like a million times already these last 2 months. I'm so happy Alex Garland and Danny Boyle just said, we're making these movies. Like,
Right.
we're doing them.
We're doing it,
Let's fix this part 2 that was horrible. Let's make it ours again.
Yeah, it was great.
Dude, Sony's money brought them together for sure.
Right? Oh, and it was all shot on iPhone,
It was all shot on iPhone,
which is
yes.
crazy.
And a little bit of attachments.
So you out
Do
there?
you want to show them a picture of all the attachments?
Look at these attachments. Those are some attachments.
These are the attachments
But-
to the iPhone.
Those attachments aren't bigger than the Alpha.
Yes, sir.
And to end it off, there was another after credit scene where Spike's walking, and then Samuel L. Jackson comes out of the forest, and he's like, "Spike, what do you know about the Avenger Initiative?" All right, thank you guys.
What's your rank? What's your rank? Your
Oh
rating.
yes,
You got
yes.
the rating.
An 8.8.
8.6.
8.8 just because 28 years later, and an 8.8.
8.6.
But no, it was really good because like
I recommend the movie very well.
if you look at it that it's Spike's story, it's really good.
Yeah, because
I
other
like-
people thought it wasn't. And
The
they
Jimmy's,
got mad about
the
it for
Jimmy
some
parts
reason.
the Jimmy parts are crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
If the movie literally, if you were to recut the movie and take out the Jimmy parts, it would
Solid.
probably be even higher. But
Solid
it's
movie.
still pretty good. Like
And plus, who knows? Maybe that makes number 2 even more awesome. Who knows?
no, oh the Bone Temple.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. 28 weeks later, I'm sorry, is not a good movie, and we can talk about it all day.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's not.
have a good one. and we'll see you on the next one.
Yep.